We call this portion of the program Hockey Central at the intermission. I'm Rob Faulds. Sam Consentino is here. That means it's time to check in the system of the Vancouver Canucks. And Sam, I really think the Canucks have benefited by having their AHL team so close. It's just in Manitoba.
Yeah, not only that, but they also have their East Coast affiliate, where every once in a while you have to dip into that level, is playing in Victoria. So, yeah, it's nice and handy to have everyone close by in case you need an emergency call-up.
First man I want to ask you about is Jozef Balej, a right winger.
Picked up a couple of years ago on a trade with the New York Rangers for Fedorov, the brother of Sergei, and boy, he doesn't play like him at all. But for Balej, he's only played 56 games for Manitoba over the last 3 years, spent some time in Switzerland last year, has another knee injury that's going to keep him out, an ACL injury that'll keep him out the rest of this year. But for this guy, he's got high-end skill and maybe a third-line projection where he can play at the National Hockey League level. He's going to need at least a full year of recovery, and it could be 2 years before you actually see him back in the Canucks lineup. But I think with his skill, I mean, he could be a valuable addition. He is a free agent. Remains to see if he'll be signed next year by Vancouver.
Just started skating again, too, so you have to wait for that process to happen. A left winger, Pierre-Cedric Labrie, who signed in July with the Moose.
Yeah, I talked to Stan Smeel about this guy. I said, what's the big deal? Where did you find this guy? Well, they found him out of Baie-Comeau, and it was scout Mario Marois, who is the Canucks scout in Quebec, that found him. They loved his size. They loved the fact that he could skate pretty well, but for a big guy, he's got big mitts. Now, I talked to Craig Heisinger, who is the GM of the Manitoba Moose, and he said this guy might be one of those tweeners. If he maybe drops some weight and picks up some speed, he's a power forward type. But if he gains a little weight and wants to get involved physically as maybe one of those tough guys, that he may be able to do that. It has yet to be determined by the organization exactly what they want him to do. But he was a free agent signing, so a free pickup and a guy that they feel is going to be able to contribute at some point here in the next couple of years.
You know, it's always strange to talk about goaltending with the Vancouver Canucks right now because they are so solid in goal with Luongo. But here's a guy you mentioned from the East Coast, Julien Ellis. He is a goaltender, and he was a 6th-round draft pick for theirs.
Well, you know what, Rob? That's got to be the toughest thing, to be a goaltender in that system right now. For the last 2 years, Ellis has been an East Coast League all-star. He's a reflex guy, a reaction-type guy. His athleticism is unbelievable, so much so that at times he overplays pucks to try and make the big save. When I spoke to Stan Smeel about this guy and how they project him, they're saying, hey, listen, we like to see his conditioning continue to improve as it has the last couple of years, because for an athletic guy who plays a lot of minutes, you need to be in great physical shape. We'd also like to see him be a little more technically sound and a little more efficient in his movement between the pipes. But having said that, it's so tough to project this guy based on what's happening in Manitoba with the goaltending situation there, McIntyre and Schneider. And then, of course, you have Luongo, who looks like he could probably play at the level he will be able to play maybe till 50 years old. So, tough spot to be in.
You have to hope you can be patient in a case like that, or hope perhaps maybe for a trade, use him for a bargaining chip down the road. So, Sam, thanks for checking in.
Thanks, Rob.
In the system with the Vancouver Canucks, our man, Sam Consentino. Stay with us. Hockey Central to the intermission will continue.